Everyone, here's some of what's heading your way tonight's Your News at 9.
Joe Biden makes a public appearance with a message to the American people. I'm Caroline Shively in Wilmington, Delaware. I'll have more on what he had to say coming up.
President Trump alleges voter fraud in the presidential election and says the process has been unfair. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington, plus the amount of litigation his campaign is preparing.
A local expert gives some tips to deal with post-election grief.
A 19-year-old in Wisconsin is arrested in connection to the Leora Hardy missing person case. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
Doug Heddy is weather tonight. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Aubie. As votes continue to be tallied in several swing states across the country, Democratic nominee Joe Biden remains in his hometown of Wilmington, Delaware, awaiting those final results. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively is there with the latest.
Joe Biden kept his remarks to the American public short and to the point this Thursday, speaking for less than 2 minutes.
The process is working. The count is being completed, and we'll know very soon.
2 days removed from Election Day, and Joe Biden urged patience. While the Democratic presidential nominee has not been declared the winner, Biden said he and his running mate, Kamala Harris, are optimistic they will win once all the votes are counted.
In America, the vote is sacred. It's how people of this nation express their will. And it is the will of the voters, no one, not anything else, that chooses the President of the United States of America.
Meantime, Biden said he is also addressing other pressing matters, receiving a briefing on the economy and the pandemic.
Cases are on the rise nationwide, and we're nearing 240,000 deaths due to COVID. And our hearts go out to each and every family that has lost a loved one.
Online, the Biden campaign updated supporters through what's become a daily Zoom call, focusing on several battleground states still considered too close to call. While Biden officials maintain they've solidly won Michigan and Wisconsin, they add in Pennsylvania, Biden is closing the gap. In Georgia, they call it a toss-up. And in North Carolina, they add the race is still tight. In Arizona, where votes are also still being counted, Biden's campaign says it will take time and patience, but in the end, they still expect to win.
We will win by tens of thousands of votes, but that margin will close.
76 days remain until Inauguration Day, and no matter who wins, the person sworn in as president will be the oldest in U.S. history. In Wilmington, Delaware, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
The president's re-election campaign and the president himself are fighting back against the narrative he's behind in the presidential election. There are still a handful of battleground states still up in the air, as we just heard about. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has the latest from the Trump campaign.
President Trump isn't conceding the race, even as the former vice president is narrowing in on an electoral victory. From the White House, President Trump accusing Democrats of trying to steal the presidency.
They're trying to steal an election. They're trying to rig an election.
President Trump is promising what he calls an amazing amount of litigation and says the election process has been unfair.
There'll be a lot of litigation because we can't have an election stolen.
President Trump's campaign claims he won Georgia and Pennsylvania on election night. The president says as mail-in ballots have continued to be counted, his lead has diminished.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
In Georgia and Michigan, lawsuits by the Trump campaign over absentee ballots were dismissed. And in Pennsylvania, the Trump campaign says they have been denied meaningful access to oversee the ballot counting process.
We have just filed a motion in federal court for immediate injunctive relief to shut down the voting process until we can get a resolution where we can look at these ballots.
I will do everything in my power to make sure that every voter, every candidate, and every party have access to a fair, free, safe, and secure election.
Also from the White House, the president did congratulate his party for their election night performance so far in Congress. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
So getting election results is far from over. However, stress, even grief over the results so far, could cause issues for many. KOM's Chris Warner spoke with an expert on ways to cope with the issues.
Nathan Honeycutt with the Ozark Center's New Directions facility says it's not unusual to experience stress or even grieve if your candidate loses the election.
There's always been fallout with a candidate that you wanted to win not winning.
Daniel Farage says it's not necessarily stress that's bothering him with this election.
So I wouldn't say it's stressful. It's just kind of annoying. It's kind of like, okay, can we just get on with this? We want to know. Americans want to move forward, and that kind of more of an annoyance for me than it is stress.
Farage says he's hopeful his candidate will win, but regardless of the outcome, he focuses on his studies, his family, and his faith to get through.
My faith is really what's got me through in moments of strife and tribulation. And I know at the end of the day, no matter who the president is, or if there is no president, it doesn't change that you can't change that. And that's something that really helps me too.
Honeycutt has some advice as well on how to cope with whatever the outcome of the election is or however long the counting process takes.
Remember, take a deep breath. We can only control ourselves. We can't control other people or other things or other outcomes. It is what it is. It will be what it is. And my world becomes more about accepting what is than trying to alter or change what is.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Honeycutt says it's also good to vent on occasion. Everyone needs a good old vent, and he suggests finding a group of like-minded friends or family that you can express your concerns to freely. Police make an arrest in connection to the Leora Hardy missing person case. 14-year-old Hardy was reported missing back on September 17th and was missing for more than a month before she was found in Wisconsin. Well, now police have arrested a 19-year-old man in connection to this case. KOAM's Zach Dodge has the latest.
46 days. That's how long 14-year-old Leora Hardy was missing after disappearing from Joplin in September. Now, a month and a half later, she's safe at home and an arrest has been made. The city of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin police arrested a 19-year-old man from Oconomowoc on November 4th. The arrest came after Hardy turned herself into the police department on the 2nd, and investigators say they learned that the man had traveled more than 600 miles to Joplin in September to pick up Hardy and take her back to Wisconsin. Police say Hardy was with him until she went to the police station on the 2nd. She's now safe with family in Joplin, in part because of the RISE Coalition, which paid for a plane ticket to get her home.
When it was brought to our attention that there was a young girl that really had been found and needed to be reunited with her family, we offered to expedite that facilitation.
The RISE Coalition is a victim advocacy group that works with people who are sexually exploited and trafficked. But Shrag says they got involved because of their close relationship with Joplin police.
We had been part of assisting the police department to get them fed while they were doing the incredible search that they did for that missing person at that point in time. And so obviously that collaboration, we were alerted to the fact that she had been found and were able in that instance to say, hey, is this a way that we could assist?
Police are still investigating the case, and Joplin police declined the opportunity to comment on the arrest. Oconomowoc police say charges against the 19-year-old could be filed soon. In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
The 19-year-old is being held at the Waukesha County Jail. A Joplin investigator is currently in Wisconsin. That investigator is expected to return to Joplin tomorrow. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor one of our 4 state heroes. Tom McAfee served in the U.S. Marines from 1965 to 68. Native of Joplin, McAfee was over in Vietnam. We are proud to thank Corporal Tom McAfee. He is tonight's 4 state hero. Doug is coming up with a look at the complete forecast. And a bit later, Pitt State football preparing for its first road game of the fall. Going to hear from the team in sports.
Well, it definitely turned out to be another great day for us today. Nice stretch of really pretty good weather dating back to last Thursday afternoon. So a nice week across the region. Plenty of sunshine after some clouds yesterday. Great time-lapse Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course. Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, temps have been fantastic. We started into lower 50s. We went all the way up into the mid 70s once again during the afternoon hours for us today. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Currently outside sitting at 60. South winds are light. Humidity's kind of creeping up just a bit at 75%. 61 Oronogo, 57 in Seneca, 55 in Miami. Pittsburgh is sitting at about 52 degrees. I think most of us are going to hang out near 50 later on tonight, but you can see our temperatures across the board. Most of us look pretty good into the mid to upper 50s to near 60. And look at the entire Central Plains. It's not too cold, it's not too hot, so we're getting just great, fantastic weather across really the entire lower 48. A very light south wind will keep our temps up just a hair for us tonight, so we're not going to drop back into the 40s. And we do have clear skies. Nothing is going on here. In fact, nothing is going on across the entire Central Plains. The little green blurbs you see here are just ground clutter. But if we head west, here's our next storm system starting to develop out across the Pacific Northwest. That system will start to affect us early next week. Plus, we have Ada, which is centered out across southern parts of the Caribbean, will lift north toward Florida also early next week. So some of that tropical moisture will kind of evac north into our next storm system. But until then, there's just not much going on. Looks fine. We'll have that light southerly wind for us tonight. Temperatures, again, mainly low to mid 50s. Plenty of sunshine for us tomorrow as we warm right back up into the mid 70s across the entire four-state area. 54 to start. 70 by noon, high temp, right around 76 during the afternoon. Let's move to about 8 o'clock. So high school football, temperatures lower 60s. It's going to be dry, looks good again. And then we'll drop back near 50 for Saturday morning. Then Saturday looks great. Plenty of sunshine as we rebound back into lower 70s. Still those south winds kicking in at about 5 to 10. So when are we going to see some changes? Let's go down the road. Let's go into Sunday. Into Monday, here's our next storm system. Starts to brew, we'll get a little wave that rotates out late Monday into Tuesday, giving us some rain chances. This will pass by, you can see Ada down to the south, and then as we head into Wednesday, a little bit of a break, then another system will rotate out by the time we head into Thursday. So at least we have some rain chances. 76 tomorrow, 72 Saturday, 75 on Sunday. The weekend looks great. And then rain chances Monday and Tuesday, and a little bit cooler by the middle part of next week. Jordan?
All right, Doug, thank you. Coming up, a new type of first for COVID-19 here in the U.S.
The United States setting a record when it comes to new coronavirus cases. I'm Mike Emanuel in Washington. All the latest on the worsening surge coming up.
West County Health Department is reporting 2 more deaths because of COVID-19. One person was in her 80s, the other in his 70s. 61 deaths in that county are now being attributed to the coronavirus. The Joplin Health Department is reporting its 38th COVID-19 related death. Officials there say the person was a 56-year-old man. Spire Gas is offering 2 new financial assistance programs for Missouri customers who have been struggling during this pandemic. The company is offering up to $400 in assistance for customers who have been furloughed or experienced job or income loss and have an outstanding balance on their Spire accounts. Spire will start accepting applications the week of November 9th. The company is also adding an 18-month payment plan that's in addition to its current 12-month payment plan. Licensed child care providers in Kansas can apply for new grant money. Funds can be used for supplies or to make adaptations to home or center-based facilities. The state is expecting to provide a total of $3.5 billion in that grant money. While many Americans are anxiously awaiting the results of the presidential election, a record number of new coronavirus cases was recorded, highlighting a major issue voters faced during this election. Fox News senior political correspondent Mike Emanuel has more now from D.C.
With nearly 9.5 million coronavirus cases reported to date, the United States is adding new infections at a rapid rate. A grim milestone coming Wednesday as the U.S. shattered records with more than 100,000 coronavirus cases recorded in a single day.
This is a marathon, not a sprint.
States across the Midwest and South seeing a record rate in hospitalizations. Doctors continuing to encourage Americans to be smart and practice caution to keep the strain off hospitals.
With the spread of the virus, our resources are stretched, and we don't want to see them become stretched too thin.
All this coming just ahead of the holiday season. Officials warning Americans to limit their travel and exposure to others to help keep case numbers down, but some say they just want to see their family.
I miss them a lot. With COVID, I barely get to see them, so I don't really have anyone to spend the holidays with.
Meanwhile, in Europe, France, Germany, and England among the countries that have enacted strict lockdown measures in an effort to curb the spread as case numbers continue to rise. Many not as supportive of this lockdown as the first time around.
I would be happy with a lockdown if I knew there was a plan for after it.
Health officials in the U.S. warning the country could share a similar fate if new cases continue to rise. As the world waits for the outcome of the U.S. presidential election, this new surge of coronavirus cases highlights the challenge the winner will face in the coming months. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
A massive operation is underway in Denmark to put down millions of minks because of COVID concerns. Officials say a coronavirus mutation has been found in those minks, which can spread to humans. The country's prime minister says the mutated virus could interfere with the effectiveness, of course, of a future vaccine. In the U.S., 1,200 minks died last month from the disease on farms in Utah, also Wisconsin. Just ahead, as we wait for those definitive election results, tension grows.
As America waits for a winner in the presidential race, supporters of both candidates are making their voices heard. I'm David Lee Miller in New York. The details coming up.
America is watching and waiting to see who's going to be in the Oval Office on January 21st, and we can expect plenty of protests and demonstrations until a winner is declared. Fox News correspondent David Lee Miller has more now from New York City.
It was another night of protests, some turning violent, as America waits to see who won the 2020 election. Thousands of demonstrators hitting the streets on Wednesday night in almost 24 major cities. Here in New York, most protesters remained largely peaceful, while others lit fires and attacked police, leading to several arrests. Some Biden supporters say they're scared another 4 years of President Trump could make life more dangerous.
We still gonna have people pulling their guns out on black men because they're scared of them because of their color.
But there were also a number of pro-Trump rallies as well. And in some key swing states, supporters of the president marched to vote counting centers shouting, "Stop the count." They say they're just trying to protect the integrity of the election, which they claim Democrats are trying to steal.
It's just about America. It's not about, that's it, America. That's it. You know, if Biden was America, it'd be like a fair fight.
Protests are expected to continue until at least next week. One major pro-Biden group says they have more than 100 events organized between now and Saturday. And as America watches and waits, the tension is building, with doctors across the country seeing an uptick in election-related anxiety.
And if they're just anxious, then I think they should just get out of the house, go for a walk, talk to friends, family members, and have a discussion.
In an effort to prevent any post-election violence, governors in at least half a dozen states have now activated the National Guard. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
2020 actually proving to be extremely beneficial to one man who has another chance to play the piano. Beautiful music at that. More on this gift from science when we come back. Technology giving an acclaimed musician the chance to make music again. These bionic gloves are allowing the man to return to the piano. Here's what happens. He lost the use of his right hand after a mugging back in 1995. Devastating, right? But the gloves, invented by an industrial designer and created on 3D printer, allow him to play with all 10 fingers. The gloves contain rods that make the fingers spring back into place. So something simple, you know, the idea itself is simple. I'm sure putting it into action wasn't so simple, but the idea itself was simple. And look how it is proving to be so life-changing for this man. That's awesome. Science can be so awesome. Is often a lot of times, in fact. All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. A special day at the Veterans Memorial at Pitt State. There's more honor for more veterans. Also, how a visit to a haunted house back before Halloween is now helping several local families in need. There's a new way for families to spend some important time together at a Joplin Park. Plus, we catch up with voters in a key battleground state during this election. Results from the dairy states, closely watched by the nation. So each year before Memorial Day and Veterans Day, new pavers are installed over at the Pitt State Veterans Memorial. Bill Muse of Muse Masonry did the honors today. There he is right there. Muse himself is a veteran who served in the U.S. Army from 1969 to 76. 4 new pavers were installed today. Muse's name is on one of them. How special is that? The other 3 include a World War I veteran, a World War II veteran, and also a veteran who served in the 1980s.
I put my time in and be able to, not only for myself enjoyment, but to see so many other people enjoy it also. So, yeah, it makes me feel good. It does.
Mr. Muse, thank you for your service, both in the military and at the memorial. Muse has installed each of the 3,460 pavers at this memorial. Some serious scares turning into big help for many families in need. Wolfman's House of Screams today donated $300 and canned goods to Crosslines Ministry in Joplin. The haunted house raised the money during the Halloween season. The money was raised in honor of Spencer Nicodemus, who died in an accident at Joplin High School.
This is something that we just have now. It's just an annual event that we do for Nico Night in his memory. So when you walk into our spook house, we actually have a memory. The first room that you walk into, it's our memory room, and we have a picture of Spencer there for his memory.
Wolfman's has been doing this fundraiser for 3 years. A new feature at Joplin's Leonard Park was officially dedicated today. It's called a Story Walk. And it's a series of signs featuring a page of a children's picture book.
I'm excited. It just brings me joy to see children and parents walking along the path, reading the story, especially on a gorgeous day like today.
A neat idea. Story Walk is, of course, meant to encourage families to read outside and just enjoy some time together. Very important. City of Joplin is in the final stage of gathering feedback for Memorial Hall's future. Different options and drawings are now available. Joplin residents are encouraged to participate in this final survey by visiting joplinmo.org/parksurveys. joplinmo.org/parksurveys. 350,000 Ford Explorers are under recall. Select vehicles from 2013 to 2017 have problems, we're being told, with a rear suspension that can limit steering control. The problem has led to at least 13 reported accidents, also 6 injuries. Earlier this year, Ford recalled the 2020 Explorer and other cars because of an electrical malfunction with the rear view camera. More Americans voted in this election than ever before, and a race as tight as this one, as we've been hearing about, with a race like that, there's bound to be mixed emotions. Fox's Casey Cronus caught up with voters in the Dairyland, Wisconsin, which has seen one of the closest races of this election.
It's very close.
It's an election that's left our nation on the edge of its seat.
I was anxious at first
as voters watched highly anticipated totals coming in with eyes glued on Wisconsin.
I did vote for Trump. I was a little deflated at first because everything seemed to be going in the opposite direction of where I wanted it to go.
I was pretty excited about it. A lot of the states were close, and I saw that, Wisconsin, my home state, went with Biden.
This election, nearly 3.3 million Wisconsinites made their voices heard at the ballot box. The Wisconsin Elections Commission, which calculates voter turnout based on the voting age population, not registered voters, estimates the turnout at close to 73%. This up from 2016's turnout of 67%.
That just shows how involved the people are.
So after a late night,
I was so nervous.
And early morning,
I still had work in the morning.
Voters like Ian Paldonia on Wednesday took a moment to breathe.
My main concerns were, our democratic process and pride in our country. And I know that goes on both sides.
And no matter which side of the political aisle they may lie, many shared a similar outlook on the future.
We have to be positive, and no matter who wins, that's our president.
Multiple states voted on measures that could affect their local economies. Voters in 4 states, not the 4-state region, but in 4 states, approved measures legalizing recreational marijuana for adults 21 and older, and medical marijuana won approval in Mississippi. Back in Florida, down in Florida, the state minimum wage will gradually increase to $15 an hour by the year 2026. And over in California, the West Coast, voters rejected an initiative to make Uber and Lyft drivers employees to receive benefits instead of being called independent contractors. A bit later, business leaders meeting with Crawford County and Pittsburgh officials.
Crawford County health officers and the Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce held a Facebook Live today to address COVID-19 concerns among the local business community. I was at that meeting and I've got details coming up.
Well, it definitely turned out to be another great day for us today. Nice stretch of really pretty good weather dating back to last Thursday afternoon, so a nice week across the region. Plenty of sunshine after some clouds yesterday. Great time-lapse Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course. Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, temps have been fantastic. We started into lower 50s. We went all the way up into the mid 70s once again during the afternoon hours for us today. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Currently outside sitting at 60. South winds are light. Humidity's kind of creeping up just a bit at 75%. 61 Oronogo, 57 in Seneca, 55 in Miami. Pittsburgh is sitting at about 52 degrees. I think most of us are going to hang out near 50 later on tonight. But you can see our temperatures across the board. Most of us look pretty good into the mid to upper 50s to near 60. And look at the entire Central Plains. It's not too cold, it's not too hot, so we're getting just great, fantastic weather across really the entire lower 48. A very light south wind will keep our temps up just a hair for us tonight, so we're not going to drop back into the 40s. And we do have clear skies. Nothing is going on here. In fact, nothing is going on across the entire Central Plains. The little green blurbs you see here are just ground clutter. But if we head west, here's our next storm system starting to develop out across the Pacific Northwest. That system will start to affect us early next week. Plus, we have Ada, which is centered out across southern parts of the Caribbean, will lift north toward Florida also early next week. So some of that tropical moisture will kind of evac north into our next storm system. But until then, there's just not much going on. Looks fine. We'll have that light southerly wind for us tonight. Temperatures, again, mainly low to mid 50s. Plenty of sunshine for us tomorrow as we warm right back up into the mid 70s across the entire four-state area. 54 to start. 70 by noon, high temp, right around 76 during the afternoon. Let's move to about 8 o'clock. So high school football, temperatures lower 60s. It's going to be dry, looks good again. And then we'll drop back near 50 for Saturday morning. Then Saturday looks great. Plenty of sunshine as we rebound back into lower 70s. Still those south winds kicking in at about 5 to 10. So when are we going to see some changes? Let's go down the road. Let's go into Sunday. Into Monday, here's our next storm system. Starts to brew, we'll get a little wave that rotates out late Monday into Tuesday, giving us some rain chances. This will pass by, you can see Ada down to the south, and then as we head into Wednesday, a little bit of a break, then another system will rotate out by the time we head into Thursday. So at least we have some rain chances. 76 tomorrow, 72 Saturday, 75 on Sunday. The weekend looks great. And then rain chances Monday and Tuesday, and a little bit cooler by the middle part of next week. Jordan?
Thanks again, Doug. The Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce and Crawford County health officers hosted a Facebook Live today where they addressed COVID-19 concerns among the local business community that's preparing for the holiday shopping season. KOAM's Mike Mahoney was at the meeting and also spoke to a local business owner who tuned in.
One of Pittsburgh's newer restaurants, Toast, has been able to succeed during the pandemic. But there are times when things are tough.
We still have days where you're slow and you don't know if that's because numbers have gone up or if it's just that time of year or what.
Toast owner Heather Horton was one of many Pittsburgh business owners who tuned into Thursday's Facebook Live hosted by the Crawford County Health Department and the Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce. The purpose of the broadcast was to answer coronavirus questions and concerns from the business community as the holiday shopping season approaches.
We've seen businesses, several in the community, that have had to shut down, not because we shut them down, but because they didn't have the employees to run their store. And that's 2 weeks out of, with isolation and quarantine, that's 2 weeks of closure, and in the Christmas season.
Crawford County's health officers made it clear that shutting down a local business was the last thing they wanted to do. But they also made it clear that they need all local businesses to play by the pandemic rules for their safety and the community's safety. The health department and the chamber said they've received multiple complaints from local businesses who are losing customers to competitors who aren't taking COVID-19 regulations seriously. That's something Heather can relate with.
It is harder when you see them doing, things where the state has told us what we should be doing. And I feel like if you're going to follow KDA rules, why wouldn't you follow other mandates that have come across through the state?
Although many topics were addressed, the biggest takeaways from the Facebook Live were the importance of mask wearing in local businesses and their following of other safety guidelines, especially during the holiday season. In Pittsburgh, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
The names of businesses asking questions at this Facebook Live were kept anonymous, so business owners could ask about anything and everything COVID-related without feeling embarrassed. Coming up in sports, Pitt State Gorillas aim for their first win of the fall this weekend against Missouri Western. Plus, the Kansas City Chiefs prepare to host the Carolina Panthers. Going to hear from the team after this break.
The Pittsburgh State Gorillas play their first road game of the season this weekend. On Saturday, the Gorillas travel to St. Joe to face Missouri Western, aiming for their first win of the fall. The Pittsburgh State Gorillas finally have some game film to look at.
It allows you to identify the things that certainly got exposed on Saturday. Allows us to really regroup.
Pitt State dropped its fall opener 31-26 to Nebraska Kearney on Saturday.
In that football game against Kearney, you have to be very assignment sound defensively to be able to stop the run game that they presented.
You know, obviously it hurts losing any game, especially one like that. But I think some positives that we took away was just our fight. We showed a lot of grit out there.
On the positive side, quarterback Max Sexton threw for 398 yards and 3 touchdowns in his first game in head coach Brian Wright's new offense.
We knew he was going to bring in some creativity, and I love it. I'm excited to learn every day from him.
I got to learn quickly, how he picked up the offense and that this was going to fit his style. And then we saw a couple practices in spring and probably didn't know a bunch then. But once we really got into preseason this September, I knew that he was going to be able to read the coverages how we want him to read them and be able to get the ball out in a timely manner like we like.
Now, the Gorillas take what they learned this weekend to St. Joe, aiming to pick up their first win against MIAA rival Missouri Western.
Really impressed with Missouri Western. I'm impressed with their athletic ability, how well they run on offense and defense and in their kicking game. They have a dangerous returner. They got a great receiver. Their secondary is very athletic, and they're just athletic and physical as an entire football team. Very impressed with them.
Pitt State's game against Missouri Western will begin at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. In the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs remain at home this week, hosting the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. The Chiefs are 7-1 overall right now after blowing out the Jets last weekend. Kansas City has a chance at their 4th straight win on Sunday. The Panthers, 3-5, but they do get some good news this week. After missing the last 6 weeks, running back Christian McCaffrey is on track to return Sunday to face the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that can do it all. I mean, he can catch the ball just as well as he runs the ball, and he runs the ball well. So he's someone that is a mismatch for defenses. He can run the ball between the tackles. He has speed to beat to win on the outside, and he can run routes just like a receiver. So a talented guy, and I'm excited to get to watch him play.
That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Fair warning, this next story might make you just sit there and just say, wow. That's what it did to me in a way. A Florida woman hit hard by the coronavirus is now on the road to recovery. Good news there. Due in part to the healing powers of music from her serenading husband. Fox's Jordan Bowen has more on this act of love.
I wake up in the morning.
Music's healing powers at work.
Face, it thrills my heart to know.
Charlie White and his wife Christy have been married 33 years.
We love each other. We're always supportive of one another.
In mid-October, she was hospitalized after testing positive for COVID-19. Within days, her condition worsened. Doctors put her on a ventilator, placed her under sedation, and flew her via helicopter to a hospital in Orlando, where she had to stay for 2 weeks without any visitors.
Imagine seeing someone and spending time with them on a daily basis, and then all of a sudden they're taken from you. It was hard to get someone to call me, and it was just like, man, what's going on? And I began to pray.
White, unable to visit, coordinated with her nurses to do a FaceTime call so he could sing to her.
You become my best friend.
White made sure to pick special songs like this, what she wrote for their anniversary.
You could tell she was listening, it was connecting with her, because music does. Music is a connection, man, and can say sometimes more things than we could verbalize. And so it was just really awesome to see her taking that in.
After a few days, Christy's condition improved. This past weekend, she was sent back to Lakeland Regional Hospital and able to see her husband for the first time.
We've had people all over the world praying for her, and it's just amazing to see people coming together, people I don't even know, asking about her. And it's made me excited because I know very soon she's going to be home with me.
And we're standing on the edge.
Jordan Bowen, Fox 13 News.
Amazing. Been an especially stressful week for many. So we're going to check out some movies new to DVD, also on demand when we come back. For those in the mood for a movie this week, escape politics. There are several thrillers in select theaters and on demand, plus a couple of new scary films and new streaming series are available to watch at home. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Your grandson. He's a wee boy now.
New in theaters is the thriller Let Him Go, starring Diane Lane and Kevin Costner as a couple fighting to save their grandson after their son's widow remarries into a dangerous family.
We got one option. We fight.
Charlie Hunnam and Jack O'Connell lead Jungleland as brothers in the bare-knuckle boxing world in debt with a crime boss, sending them on a cross-country journey with an unexpected traveler while they train for the match of their lives. The sequel, True to the Game 2, centers around Gina trying to reinvent herself, but her past resurfacing.
Random women keep approaching me.
The comedy My Dad's Christmas Date with Jeremy Piven is about a daughter trying to set her dad up online, unbeknownst to him.
We need a fresh start.
You cannot walk out on this place!
In theaters and on demand, the psychological thriller Kindred follows a pregnant woman trapped at her late husband's family country home. The horror film The Dark and the Wicked has siblings returning to their secluded farm where a mysterious darkness is taking over.
I want out.
On demand, The Informer is about a former special ops soldier turned FBI informant returning to prison to take down a Polish drug cartel from the inside.
Come on, a little bit louder. Can we country it up for you now?
On streaming, Netflix adds the reality series Country Ever After with country singer Coffey Anderson and his hip-hop dancer wife Priscilla. And in binge-worthy recommendations, the streamer's limited series The Queen's Gambit hit #1 on its top 10 and 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
All right, that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you with video of snow leopard kittens at a zoo in Austria. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.